It doesn't matter. And we're playing. If I put it into my mouth, it's probably a mistake.
We're all friends.
It's friendship.
Okay.
Alright, so next time we're talking about...
No,
Am I just going to say, we're going to do... Oh, you're closing. Praise the Lord.
I got you.
Yeah, you're opening.
So today we're talking about... What are we talking about?
Mental illness.
Today we're talking about mental illness. We have our guest here. How do you want to be introduced? Raquel? Alicia? Or do you want to be introduced as Rocky?
Rocky.
Okay, wait. Oh, no, sorry.
I'm
doing a dry run.
Yeah.
Introduce our friend here. Introduce... No, I gotta get it all out. Boot check. Nailed it. Okay. Rocky, who's here to give us some more insight on her experiences on this topic. Back to you, Bob, at the studio. Alright. So I'm just opening. So then you're gonna take over, Rocky, as soon as I say that, or no? Or we're gonna ask questions?
No, we gotta ask questions.
Ask a question.
Ask a question.
And between the three of us, one of us will answer and the conversation will go. Thank
What's
you,
the
Holy
question?
Spirit.
What's the question I should ask you?
Just ask.
how do you feel?
Just pick a question. Would you like to share your experience?
Thanks for being here.
Ask.
When did it start?
Maybe ask when did you identify that you...
This is not a smart choice. That was not. I'm sorry, guys. It's
Yeah.
the Bobby
When's
lady.
the
Get it
first
together.
time you
I need to get it together. When was the first time
you recognize...
you begin to... Is battle too strong a
No,
word?
battle's a good word. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have to say this aloud. We need to start.
Everybody's coughs out.
Okay, so-
Oh, I didn't get you tissues.
You have tissues? Oh yeah, the little.
Don't be.
Nah,
Oh,
I did.
that's it.
No, let me just put it in my pocket.
Yeah, just give me one tissue.
I just
Tip
for
to
yours might come. That's all I'm saying.
I'll probably just get a runny nose. Thanks.
One for you.
I mean, I'm good, but.
Well, I didn't say you're not good, son.
You never know.
Actually, I
Son!
need to do this. What a pretty visual. Sophia, we got two guests today.
What'd you say now?
I said we have two guests today. Hold on, one more cough.
Take a sip. You want to take a sip?
Yeah, goodness.
Anyway, cheers.
You guys realize I'm gonna have to like,
It's a lot you're cutting out. Yeah.
I'm gonna cut out like 5 years worth of footage.
Cheers!
Salud!
I can't even.
We gotta get Rocky back to our kids, guys. Come on, you guys have been stalling. Like,
Yeah,
I know, I've been like the awful person. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, you guys ready?
Ready when you are.
I'm in a silly mood.
I like it.
Maybe it's 'cause it's a heavy
hard
topic.
So
Yeah.
it's good.
I have earrings in
You
here.
got the joy.
Guys, I realize my face don't look the same if I don't have earrings. I don't know what I'm talking about this right now. Okay, let's go! Hi, guys!
Hi!
Hi.
Welcome back to Speak Up for Her. We're excited today because we have a special guest.
Yay!
This is Rocky, one of my best friends. I love her. And we're going to be talking about mental illness. So she's going to be giving us some insight and some of her experiences and just the journey she's had with that. So, Rocky, again, thanks for being with us. When would you say your battle with mental illness started?
When I was a young teenager, I knew because I would get really depressed, and then I started cutting myself, like on my arms and my legs, I guess if I feel that pain, I ignore the pain inside. It didn't always work. And then I started trying to like take pills and kill myself. And so my mom wasn't too happy with it. She wanted to kind of ignore it, but I did start seeing like a counselor, and then that just kind of stopped, and then I guess I kind of ignored it, or I just didn't do anything about it until later.
Did you experience a lot of shame?
Not then. I just feel like, at least with my parents, like I couldn't talk about it.
Okay.
So I did like go to God for it, and there was times that like physically like He would hold me,
Wow.
and I knew that my parents wouldn't do that, but He would, even in my like worst moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love how God like interjects Himself into our situations. And there's a scripture that says that we have a God who's in touch with the feelings of our infirmities. Like He literally feels it alongside us. And a lot of times you feel isolated from people, but then He's like, I'm with you. I'm actually with you. And for you to be able to feel that, even in a more tangible, physical way, that is huge. Like that is a life-changing.
I think a lot of people don't think of it that way, that he's feeling it too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we tend to blame God or, just be angry with Him and other people because He's not interceding. It doesn't seem like He's interceding. But really, He is experiencing the same process that we are. He feels everything just because he doesn't stop. He can't just, he can, but he can do whatever He wants. But, He gave us free will, so He, out of respect for us, does not step into our situation physically and just stop everything.
Right.
But He's still with us, still experiencing the same thing that we're walking through.
Something that I just recently discovered, like in my own journey of anxiety, and that's huge, is that like someone said to me, so this isn't always like a bad thing. Like anxiety is like a label, and people and depression and like mental illness they're labels, but they don't define who we are. But like I was really like throwing the label on myself of I'm always anxious, I'm anxious. But the thing is, like, Jesus had to experience anxiousness. He carried a cross the whole way up a hill with the sins of the world on His shoulders, not just mine and all of the things I'm experiencing, but like all of us. And so like my friend was like, so do you not think that like He battled anxiety too? But like He knew the truth. He knew what He had to do to journey through it, to get to the truth, to set us free. And so I think in the midst of like battling like anxiety and different things, for me it was I lost everything in a week of time. I lost my job, I lost my home, I lost my license, all because of a physical ailment that took over my body. And I felt completely alone, completely forsaken, completely abandoned. And I was like, where are you? You don't love me. Like, why would you do this to me? But like, that was literally the beginning of my healing journey. And that was years ago, and I'm still going through it.
Yeah.
I think that's it, is the journey. I think He wants you to go the journey beside you, yes, but it's a learning process, and you learn. And if you don't learn those things for yourself, it makes it better. You feel more successful. You feel, I've gotten here, look where I was.
Right.
And you see that, and you know what's the root, or where did it come from, or how did it start, like learning that instead of just boom, like it just disappearing and like, okay, like,
Well, if it just disappeared, then you would make the same mistakes.
Exactly. Come back.
You would
Exactly.
learn from that experience.
right,
If
right.
you find yourself in the same patterns, the same hole,
yes,
and have to get back out of it again. So
You're not progressing.
it
It's just a
seems
cycle.
cruel that we have to walk through these things, but they're doing something much deeper inside of us than we can see.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, something you were mentioning about Jesus got me to thinking. And right before Jesus knew He was going to be taken, He went into the garden and he brought His friends. He's like, come pray with me. And they went into the garden, and Jesus said to His Father, He said to God, I'm okay with this cup passing from me. I'm okay with not doing this.
Yeah.
Like, let's have a talk here. As in, He felt
Right.
the feelings of this is not gonna be easy. This is not an easy
well, to
road.
the point he was sweating so bad he bled.
Yeah, like when you're going through, your body's physically going through something. And what I've noticed, I haven't, which I'm glad Rocky's here and like you're here to give more expertise because this is not something that I've personally gone through, but I've seen like friends and family members go through it. And a lot of times people will shame them for even feeling the certain feelings. And the feelings are more natural than you think they are. But someone's going to be like, you're a Christian, you shouldn't be dealing with that. Or you shouldn't, why are you even submitting to that thought when they don't realize it's way deeper? If it was that simple, no one would be
Right.
struggling.
Exactly.
Like no one,
Exactly.
And I think it's for us to like highlight these things and bring them out into the open and not treat people like these like, she can get over it. Things go deep and things have roots and things are sometimes beyond your control.
Right.
And we need to be more sympathetic and empathetic to people when they're going through these things because you don't understand the heaviness of what they're carrying.
Yeah.
And, if Jesus could feel like, woo, this is going to be hard, he's like, Dad, let's talk real quick, then of course we're going to feel, the different things that we're going to go through and our experiences, it's going to come on us and sometimes like sit on us like a heavy brick and then we have the choice sometimes to, get help.
Right.
Or because sometimes the help is not within yourself, Sometimes you need medication and I don't feel there's anything wrong with that. I feel like God gave wisdom to doctors and they created some things and sometimes you have the wisdom to take it.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my feeling on the topic. Because we know there's like a bit of a debate with that, but I'm like, hey, God gave wisdom. I'd rather you take it. But yeah, it's like we need to start detaching ourselves from those feelings. It's like the same thing. Like some people feel awful when they feel tempted. No, the Bible says you're gonna be tempted.
Right.
They just say just don't fall into it. You know what I mean? Like
right.
you're gonna feel the anxiety. You're gonna feel that depression coming on. Don't beat yourself up.
What are you gonna do with it?
It's just what you're gonna do after that.
Right.
Yeah, but the initial, let's break that. Let's break that thought that, I'm an awful person just because that thought came to me.
Right. No.
Yeah.
No. Well, you have to for me, I think learning. I just grew up all the time just wanting to I can do it myself. I grew up in a broken home. My mom did the best she could with what she had, but she was broken. She was raising kids on her own. She was in a few relationships that weren't healthy, and that's all I knew. So that was my normal. So I just tried to take care of my younger siblings when I could, and in the meantime, I turned into an adult and don't even realize why I'm making decisions I'm making. And then I finally you just kind of I think for all of us at one point in our lives, you remember a day where you just got to a moment where you're like, I can't do this anymore, or I need help, or this just can't be normal. And I just got to that point because I got physically sick from just trying to bear the weight of the world on my shoulders and be independent, and I would never ask for help. Not even, I'm 4 foot tall, not even in a grocery store. I was like, I'll get it. I've
I got this.
I've knocked cans on my head because I'm
Trying
I'm not asking them for help. I can do this. So you don't realize you need help. It's okay. We need each other. And so I was like, well, I guess the church is the place to go because these people say, there's some God can help us and He wants to help us. So I go to a church and I seek a counselor, and I was trying to convince her why God didn't love me, and you have to identify the right people to put in your life through these situations, because there are people, something I think I've heard before is hurt people, and loved people. But loved people, that doesn't mean just because you can love someone doesn't mean you're not hurting. You're hurting, but you know that that's not the reason to hurt somebody else.
Right.
So for me, it got to the point I need to figure out why I feel this way and what the truth is, because I thought if this is life, I don't want it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Rocky, something you were talking about earlier, Christy, having the right people around you. Since your journey kind of started early, I can't see you. Since your journey started early as a teenager, what did that look like as far as a support system, and when did you get to the point where you did go for help?
Well, I didn't really have much when I was younger, and that's why I kind of I just ignored it. but I had gotten married, had 3 kids. I ended up having conjoined twins that didn't make it, and after that, I thought it was fine, but it just happened. It just hit me hard, and I lost myself. I was angry at some points. I was, really nice at some points. I would seclude myself from my kids. Anytime that I did get angry, they would like go away because it was happening so often that they were realizing like, oh, like she's getting to that point. Let's walk away. And then, I made some bad choices, and I was like, I'm done. I don't want to be in this life anymore. And so I went to a counselor at the church, and he said, why don't we get you to, get you some help? And so I ended up going to Phil Haven. And as much I was like, Dad, like I'm so bad that I have to go, to Phil Haven. But it ended up being so good. I learned not only where, my side effects were coming from my tragedy, also the depression that I've been having, and learning those kind of things and how to process it and how to learn from it and what to do in those situations, but also like other people's mental illnesses, learning about theirs, and then so then I could be sympathetic to
Right.
them.
Right.
And us just sharing our stories. So I had people around me like that, and then, I got on medication, a whole bunch of medications, and it was a process in itself, and that was a struggle because, one wouldn't work, so they would take you off of that, you had to take it during the day, and then they would switch it to night, and, but we finally got the medication straight once I had gotten out, and, I did well. But I still didn't have really the support of my family or my husband. But then I wanted to lean on God. Not saying that this is for everyone, but I spoke to my doctors and said, hey, I'm gonna like start pulling off of the medication. And I started leaning on God, and that was a struggle because I would go in waves, and I would struggle with depression, and then I would be okay, and then I would get sucked in and sleeping days on end. But finally I got to a point when I realized that, okay, like I need people that are positive around me, and not telling me what I am, just supporting me in it and lifting me up all the time. And so I, ended up separating from my husband, and there was a lift up on there. I started going back to Christ Community, and got friends, and so much better. And now I have to speak to myself when I get into the depression. I have to tell myself what the truth is, what God is telling me, instead of, and still knowing where I have rooted from, or why is this coming on me now, like what's triggering it. So Phil Haven helped with that, losing, negative people around me and having positive, that all just helps, and asking for help, because I was a person who didn't ask for help, like I got this, like I'm not gonna say anything, because people did, like you have kids, like why would you do that? I wasn't in the right set of mind frame, and the mind is strong. It is strong. So it all helped, and I still to this day, sometimes you're like, I tell you, I'm like, I'm starting to feel it, like it's starting to come back. It's like, man, that creeps up, and when I gotta realize when it's starting to creep up before it gets a hold of me. Yes. And so, but I let somebody know.
You do.
I let somebody know.
You do.
And I talk to myself, and I pray to God, Lord, let me know, give me truth, give me, talk to myself in the mirror, like, you know who you are, you are stronger than this.
That's so
God is
good.
by your side.
That's good.
Yeah. So that's where I am now, and I see like where I am now and where I was, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, I could cry because it was pretty bad. But I'm so grateful for having God by my side and telling the truth and who I am, and then having friends to love and support me through it and not shame me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are things that you would like to speak into other people who are struggling with depression or anxiety or any other mental illness? What's something that you want them to take away if they're watching it now and they just feel like it's taken over them and they can't get out of it? What do you want to speak into them?
Let somebody know.
Mm.
Let somebody know. It is the hardest thing to do. There was a middle from being kind of bad to being overwhelmingly bad, to the point that I wouldn't tell anybody. There was a middle. And when I got to that middle, I said to myself, I gotta tell somebody, because in my mind, I was like, my mind's gonna go too far and I'm gonna shut down. I need to tell somebody. And I did. And I accepted the help in that time. Tell somebody. And also, like, I'm a mom of 3, and I saw how my kids got and how I was around them. I didn't like it, but it still didn't, I still didn't get it. But, you know, anywhere you are, mom, not mom, you know, son, like, this happens. You're not alone. Tell somebody,
Yeah.
get the help that you need, because you'll be a better person for it.
Yeah.
Learn like what you have, because there's other people that can tell you their stories. There's people that can help you, and just having, if you notice that you're with people that you start feeling kind of like down every time you're with them, let that be like a note to yourself. Have people that are around you that lift you up, say good words, positive, like things to lift you up in your life and tell you good things.
Right.
Yeah.
Reach out.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a whisper.
Right.
Yeah. I love that, because the enemy, he wants to isolate you.
Mm-hmm.
If he can get you over here by yourself and everybody's over there,
Yeah.
oh, he'll go to town feasting on you and completely attack you. But like you're saying, yeah, don't, you know, resist the urge to be like, let me just deal with it over here. And once you come into it, you will realize there are other people who are struggling or who have struggled before you, and you can have that testimony of like, okay, Rocky seems to have made it through this. Yeah, she's still struggling somehow, but I see her, and there's joy and there's life and there's light in her. Maybe that could be me.
Right.
You know, and sometimes we also have to, like, we live in like a microwave society, and we want it now. But sometimes healing takes years.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to go on the journey and not just think of it a journey, but maybe just add a little bit to it and say, I'm gonna take this adventure. And it's not gonna be, I'm not gonna be smiling all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm crying.
That's right.
Sometimes I'm sleeping in bed for days. That happens, like she's saying, it does happen. But you don't have to stay in that place.
Right.
And like,
No.
you know, and again, this is why we're here, and this is why Rocky's here to say, you are not alone.
Right.
At all. Like, and the enemy's gonna tell you you're the only one in your family dealing with this, you're the only one in your church dealing with it, you're the only one in your class, you're the only one, and it's not true. That is a lie. And like she was saying, it's about the truth. You speak the truth over your life, and you have people around you who are willing to do the same for you.
Yes.
So I love that.
I think something I'm learning is that, like, people beside me probably have something I need.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably have something they need.
Yeah.
But you're never going to know that if you don't talk, if you
Sure.
don't share. And you have to get to a point where you're like, I am not ashamed of who I am and where I've been and what I'm going through. And it looks different for all of us, but like, there is freedom in that. There is freedom in community. There is freedom in talking to people. There is freedom, and like Rocky said, like, you will know who the right people are to put yourself around, and that could be part of why you're struggling right now, is because there's just like a wall of people who are tearing you down and just telling you this, and you're not gonna make it, and you aren't good enough, and that's a lie. It's such a lie. And so you have to be able to like know that you can pull yourself out. And I remember there was a time in my life I sat in my grandparents' kitchen, bawling my eyes out, saying, I'm never going to have friends again. Because not that I had bad friends, but I was doing things that were triggering my anxiety, triggering my shame, triggering the loneliness. So they didn't know that, but I had to pull myself out of the situation and be like, what is it that's triggering these things? And when I identified that, I had to move myself out of their lives. That's not easy. And so, I mean, somehow, some way, those people come into your life that you need. And the only way they're going to come is if you start talking to people who can help you through these things.
That's good.
Things.
Yeah, I think like that's one thing why I share whatever I've gone through, because I started realizing when I would open myself to somebody and we would just happen to be talking and I told them something about, you know, that I had journeyed through or that I had done, then they would open up and tell me,
Yeah.
and I'd be like, okay, like I knew I had to say something because somebody else needed to share something that was holding them down, like if they were in chains and they were like, oh, like I could finally tell somebody what I was going through or what I was holding back that I felt like I couldn't share with anybody.
That's good. Also, it's important to highlight with this, because Rocky, you were saying, you know, you had times where you were suicidal, you had thoughts, or, you know, a ton of different thoughts. And it's also important to highlight that you're going to go into some deep, deep depths. However, there is no place that God won't come get you. You know, even in the Bible it says, you go to hell, he's like, let's go, I'm coming with you. You know what I mean? Like he's going to go with you. And again, the enemy wants shame and this feeling of, oh, I shouldn't be this bad, especially if I'm a Christian. Christians don't. You know, I've heard people say, oh, Christians shouldn't be able to get depressed.
Bye.
What? That isn't, no, that's not even biblical. You know what I mean? Like, have you read Psalms? Poor David. Yeah, I think he was bipolar, schizophrenic. He was like all of the diagnoses, and he was a man after God's own heart.
Yeah, Mom.
And Jesus's bloodline is through that man, like literally. So it goes to show you that you're never disqualified. You're never like just trash put on the side. Like we still talk about David, and he was crazy sometimes. Like I mean. But it's kind of beautiful the way God works. You see God's grace and His mercy and His love, and He never stops pursuing you. And again, we're here to break the lie of the enemy that you're not worth it. Well, you're not worth the energy. Or, you know, some people may be so dismissive when you're like, I'm really struggling. They're like, get over it.
Yeah.
You know, Rocky was saying earlier, someone would be like, well, just stop. Well, if it was that simple, it would be wonderful to have a 3-second conversation. Oh, I'm cured. You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't that be awesome? That's not the way life works. And I think sometimes when people do that, we miss we're so afraid of tackling what we see as the dirty and the messy that you can't see the beauty of God's grace unless you're willing to get dirty and go through those things.
Seriously.
Like, you're not going to see and experience the faithfulness of God unless you go there.
Right.
So again, your identity can't be, oh, I'm messy and oh, I just have so many problems. No, go there and confront it, and you really, really see the faithfulness of God, and He makes beauty from ashes. And the same place where the ashes come from is the same place the beauty comes from. Like, it's from you. And He's not gonna, we become new in Christ, but it's still Rocky. All those amazing things were always in her. He just had to show her and teach her through the process. So it's, again, every single time we're here, it's like identity, because we're never going to stop doing that. It's always going to come back to that, because why? The enemy's going to attack you there first. You know, someone is going to say to Rocky, well, oh, you're an awful mom because you wanted to, you know, and I want you to talk about that. Like when someone goes, well, how could you possibly have that thought when you have those sweet babies at home? Talk about that.
I mean, when I, you know, would mention that, you know, I wanted to kill myself and that I went to Full Haven, people are like, I just don't understand, like, you have 3 kids. You're right, I do. But when I'm not in my right mind, because the mind, again, is so strong, I think that what I thought was they'd be better off without me. and I would stay in that lie.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, yeah, you're right. They are better without you, and this is why, and this is why. But in my right mind, I'd be like, no, like they need me, of course. Like God gave me them and them me. I struggled with that. But going to Phil Haven, and I didn't get to see my kids while I was there that much. I got so much better. Like I learned, I got better. Like to better be there, to be there for them.
That's
to
why
be
you're here
there.
today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, if I would just have listened to that and just, let it swirl around me, I wouldn't be here with them. So better help than not.
Yeah.
Right. And taking that help and being willing to be away from them so that you have decades
Yes.
with them.
Yes.
A few weeks isn't that bad.
Yeah, you're not abandoning them.
Yes.
You just
You're
know
saving
you
your
help
family.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. So, hard to hear, but I know the truth now.
Come on.
Yeah.
There you go.
So good.
And you live from that place. That's the important part. You live from a place of truth
Right.
rather than
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
getting
and
up in
when
your head.
things happen or you feel anxious, you have to be like, okay, why am I feeling this way? I need to get back to that truth.
Yes.
And those are tools. Believe it or not, you're loading your tool belt up, and you're using new tools to equip yourself to overcome the mental illness.
Yeah.
And I think the world around us wants to forget that our brain and our heart need therapy just as much as we do physically to
Yes.
stay in shape.
Yeah.
We need and nutrition and value. We need to value and put good things in our brain and our heart as well.
Yes. Yeah.
It's good.
Talk to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I talk to myself all the time. I really do. But like you were talking about, like your mind is giving you reasons why you're not good enough, to be a mom. And it's true. Like even with people who don't deal with depression or chronic things like that, the enemy's always gonna throw. He's gonna be like, I don't know what's gonna stick. I'm gonna just throw a bunch of stuff right now. Like, oh, she reacted to that one.
Yeah.
Good. Now I'm gonna go in.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to actually commit yourself to a life of, oh, that's not right. No, that seems contrary to what God says about me. Wait a minute. No, I need to stop that thought and be willing to stop it because, I believe that any one of us could fall into a depression. If your mind is constantly speaking those negative things and those you're literally speaking death over yourself, I think you can get caught. So even if you don't have a history of it, I'm not going to be, so prideful to say I can't get there. I'm not going to be that prideful because circumstances happen, trauma happens, and you're not ready for trauma ever. It just happens, and you don't really know where you're at until it happens. And then I've been in situations where I'm like, Sylvia, don't do it. Where you're tempted to go sit in the corner and just rock yourself for 5 hours.
I recently went through that. Sorry,
No.
But I am a little person. Just this year, little people have been introduced into my life. At the very, very beginning of this year, a great person came into my life and said, you're missing a whole world. You need to get involved in the Little People of America. So I go to this huge convention. There's thousands of people. And it literally knocked me off my feet. And I was like, I can't do this. But through those trips, and I just went to one last weekend, I realized there's a part of my life I am missing. And I have to learn to nurture it and grow it. But I isolated the first time around. I isolated huge. I didn't talk like this. I isolated, I pulled away, and I believed the lie they don't need me. I have nothing. They are so good without me. And I had to come back and say, that's a lie. Somebody needs you. You need them. And I went to this last one, and I was so much more able to say I have something to offer. But I recently learned the trigger. Why did I feel that? Because like I said earlier, I felt abandoned when I was younger, and I wanted to fix the world on my own. And I was like, 3,000 people, that's a lot of people to fix. But they don't need fixed. We need each other.
Yeah.
So it's just identifying that.
Yeah, and you're not always going to be the one who's in need.
Right.
That's good.
Even in your whole situation, when you're going through a sucky situation, still people need you.
Absolutely.
That's good.
They need you to be by their side and tell them truth and you can do that even within your situation.
Okay.
You can, and
That's good.
then you need them. Like you're not always gonna be the, because I know I felt like I'm always gonna be one who needs fixed and da da da. No, even when I'm like in my situation, I tell them things that's going on. It's still opening up somebody else
So
that
good.
needed that.
True.
So good.
And it's therapeutic for you too, because when you start talking about it, you can process it better, and then you can work together, to
Yeah.
fight those things.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Whereas if you isolate yourself and don't talk about it, no one can see, then you start believing lies that you're not worth it, or that, whatever.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's really good.
So I think we could talk about this a lot, but we're kind of going to go into a series. And the next thing we're going to talk about is loneliness and isolation, which happens with mental illness. And so I just want to invite all of you guys, our viewers, to really get honest with us, and we're going to get honest with you. Comment this video. Let us know what you're struggling with. Send us a private message. We all have something to identify with you, and we want to talk about it with you. So don't be afraid to just get real. Let us get real with you, and let's help you battle through this mental illness.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for letting us be real, and thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Robbie.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, guys.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye. 30 more minutes. We did it.